hello and good afternoon. My name is Sarah Ann Atkinson, and I reside in the unceded territory of the Algonquin, Wendat, and Anishinaabe people, also known as Ottawa, and I go by she or they.
Hi everyone, I am your co-host Renée Michaud, and I'm located also on unceded Anishinaabe territory in Chelsea, Quebec. And I am an artist and a creative coach, and I'm so happy to welcome our guest, Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Prazmowski, and I'm a nature and forest therapy guide here in the Ottawa Valley, the St. Lawrence Lowlands, the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. And I'm really happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today as our guest for the very first of the 9 Pillars of Happiness vlog that we're doing. Just to recap, those pillars of happiness are gratitude, meaningful experience and purpose, meditation and mindfulness, movement, nutrition, altruism, giving back, simplifying, connection to nature, and social investment connection. So today, this week, Andrea Prazmowski is here to discuss with us the vocational calling to practice life in nature.
So Andrea, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you're excited about talking about connecting to nature today?
Sure. So as mentioned, I'm a nature and forest therapy guide. I trained with the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides out of California. I'm a mentor and trainer as well with the association. I've been doing this since 2017. So why I'm really glad to have this opportunity is because I've seen what a difference it makes in my life to be really connected with nature and the difference it makes in other people's lives. And so anytime I can encourage people to pursue that for themselves is a huge opportunity. And besides how it helps us each individually, on a wider level, as human society, modern human society, we're pretty disconnected from our natural roots. And I think that's had a lot of consequences for the decisions we make and the way we regard the more than human world. So this practice for me is a small part of helping to bridge that gap and reconnect humans and nature and hope that it's going to have a wider impact beyond how good it makes each of us feel individually. So well-being of the planet as a whole and our interconnection.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really hear your call to stewardship of the land, that it's not just something that you do for you and your own personal enjoyment, but this idea that, you know, if it's maybe being out on trails to maintain their natural state, or even in educating others to be out and involved in nature, that will have a greater impact on not just our generation, but generations to come. And the idea that the ecology, the environment is something that participating in gives us a communal sense of peace and wellness around us.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where the health of both humans and the rest of the world are so obviously intertwined.
Andrea, can you tell us a bit more about when you got this vocation to connect with nature?
Sure. Well, being in nature, being outdoors, on a trail, in a garden, camping, it's always been my happy place. You know, even not too long ago, I was in a meeting where we were doing something creative and we were talking about what are the sounds of happiness? And I said, the sound of a tent zipper opening or closing. And the other people kind of looked at me like I was odd, but it made perfect sense to me because as long as I can remember, I've been camping with my family, and those are my absolute happiest memories. Anytime I've been with friends, family, and nature are some of my best memories, and where I feel most alive and most myself. And so I didn't see that as a vocation, though. I went into journalism. I worked for environmental groups and international development and for a church. But about 15 years ago, I started trying to figure out if I could make it my vocation. If this thing that was so important to me personally actually had some importance to offer the rest of the world too. And so I started studying and trying things out. And when I discovered the training to be a forest therapy guide, I knew it was a perfect fit. And when I went on the training, I went like, okay, I was born for this.
Nice.
Oh, that's such a lovely feeling to be able to experience in this lifetime, to not only feel the calling, but to have acted on it and now to get to do it professionally. That just sounds like such a blessing.
Yeah, it is.
What does connecting with nature look like to you? You know, if it were a day in the life of, or during a forest therapy session, what would that be experientially like?
Sure. Well, in general, I mean, connecting to nature can look lots of different ways. Bird watching, swimming in a lake, going on a hike, sitting on a park bench and watching the squirrels. Like there's lots of different ways it can look. For me, sometimes when we're exercising outdoors, it's mostly exercise. It happens to be outdoors. We do get some extra benefit from that. But nature connection specifically is taking the time to pause, to slow down, to really notice, to be present to the more than human world around us in a way that we might not normally be. So, so it looks like people stopping to touch the bark of a tree, to pick up a leaf and see what it smells like, to hold it up to the sun, to just be really curious about the details. So not just stepping back and looking at the whole landscape and saying, isn't this a beautiful view? But also taking the time to like spend time with one tree, to look at one leaf. So just that close-up awakening of the senses and interacting with our senses. Yeah,
I hear you talking about touching, so tactile or smelling. It's more a bit deeper of an engagement than just standing and looking. It's like, how can I take my sight, the sounds, the textures, the smells around me, and be engaging with nature? The previous research in the happiness habits talks about why it matters, that it is scientifically proven that looking at a tree can shift your mood. We were just talking in our little intro there about hugging a tree and how like that can actually have energetical exchange. So that by connection to nature, it can enhance your productivity, creativity, mood, so many amazing benefits that can happen. And I'm always inspired by my 2-year-old son who loves to hug trees. So I like to take those pauses with him and hug them right back.
Yeah. And you know, that's one of the benefits too, is that like coming on a guided walk, for example, it gives people permission to do things they might not do by themselves. People might feel self-conscious if they're out on a walk by themselves and they go just lean on a tree for 20 minutes. But I do that. And as people do more of this, maybe more of us will just see people leaning against a tree for 20 minutes or staring up in the branches. So on a walk, when you're with a group of people and you're guided and you're invited to do those things, you get to like do things you might not feel comfortable doing on your own. And also then there can also be a sense of playfulness that comes. People will say at the end of a walk, oh my gosh, last time I did this, I was a kid. I feel like a kid again. And that's a really important part of happiness too, is being able to play and be in the moment. So that's a big part of the practice is offering people, we offer a series of invitations to help people be in this body, in this moment, in this place, and just present to what's happening around. And we say, the destination, we're not trying to get there, we're aiming to be here and be responsive to what's here in this moment.
I love that reference to childhood play and childlike energy. Because watch kids in nature and they interact with it so differently than obviously during COVID, during the pandemic. A lot more people are actually getting outdoors and seeing some of the Outaouais valleys, hikes and natural landscapes and places. I love that invitation to tap into your inner child and engage a bit more. And silly.
And if you have a child in your life, let them lead you on a walk and just follow their lead and see what happens. And Yeah, they're natural forest therapy guides.
Love it.
Sounds like what you're saying, Andrea, is what we've heard before, but on a deeper level, right? Stop and smell the roses. So
Yeah.
I'm also hearing that to smell the roses, we have to stop. We have to stop rushing. We have to slow down. We have to do things at a really, really calm and chill pace, which
Yeah.
is really what the Western world tells us to do. So it sounds like a little bit of, separation. So thank you. And can you tell us why is it important for people to connect with nature now during the pandemic, maybe more than ever?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the benefits, like Sarah listed a number of them. It's so many studies are coming out now showing how time in nature, especially that slow noticing time, is so helpful to our stress levels. Reducing our levels of cortisol, lowering our blood pressure. So in so many ways, we're going through such a stressful time individually and collectively that getting out in nature can just help us deal with that stress. Secondly, it's the kind of thing you can do with somebody and still be distanced. So it's a really safe thing to do, and outdoors is the safest place to be. And also, for those who don't have anybody in their household, who are living alone, who haven't been able to touch another person in a long time, it can actually feel really, really good to touch a tree. So again, going back to that leaning on a tree for a little while, it's another living being. And you might be surprised by how good it feels to do something like that, to sit on the ground and know that the ground is holding you and supporting you as well. So those are some of the reasons it's really important. And and also it can bring us insights. I find so much of the time when I'm walking and other people too on my walks, nature speaks in symbolism. And so often when we take the time to notice something, it can offer such valuable lessons for where we are in our lives. And I think it can really offer valuable lessons for this pandemic time we're living in too. So maybe people will get insights.
What are the benefits of connecting with nature regularly?
So many people I've met have said that going out in nature regularly has really helped them heal from major illnesses, actually, from cancer, from depression, from recovering from concussions. So there's a real healing aspect to it. There's, hello geese. It helps to reduce our stress levels. So reduce the levels of cortisol in our system, lower our blood pressure. It helps our heart functioning. So many studies are coming out just showing all the amazing benefits. It boosts our immune systems. And then on the mental health side, time in nature helps to reduce the kind of patterns that we get going in our thinking that are associated with depression. So rumination, it's called. Mm-hmm. So a walk in nature really, really quiets down that kind of spinning thoughts that we can sometimes have, reduces anxiety, boosts our mood, boosts our creativity, and it's even been found to enhance collaboration between people. So if you want to improve teamwork in any team you're involved in, and get people out on a nature walk together and see what that might do.
I can really relate to the part on concussion healing. I've had over 14 concussions, and a big part of the recovery program that I just participated in a couple of years ago was a nature component, and really breaking it up into short periods throughout the day, but making sure that you talked about the rumination, you talked about the actual chemical benefits that happen to us. It is quite a beautiful process and free of charge. Wonderful. I'm wondering, kind of as a two-parter question, throughout exploring the 9 pillars of happiness, the goal throughout this vlog series is really how to get it into a habitual practice for people. So my two-part question is, how do you turn nature into a daily practice? And then how can you sort of suggest to others a very small scale start ways to do this regularly, sort of an invitation, maybe maybe it's just a minute. Like, I don't know where that starts in a person, how they can engage in their day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I'm lucky I have a dog, and the first thing I do in the morning is jump out of bed and take her for a walk in the park nearby. So it's that regularity. So just picking a regular time helps. Starting small helps. Maybe it's 20 minutes 3 times a week. And knowing that you don't have to like get in the car and drive to someplace distant to do this either. It can be backyard, balcony, the local park. So not making it too difficult, like find the most convenient place. Also combine it with something else, maybe make a date with a friend. So then you're getting your social connection, one of the pillars of happiness, right? And you're getting your nature connection. In fact, a lot of the pillars of happiness overlap with the nature connection. Movement, simplicity, right? Like the ways we take care of ourselves, or the things we do with friends doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as a walk in the park. So there's that simplicity aspect too. So keeping it simple, keeping it short, starting small, and then maybe making a date for yourself, putting it in your calendar. That's another good way to get a habit going.
I love that tip, the making a date with yourself. You know, we schedule all these meetings nowadays, especially working from home. Okay, we know dinner's happening, the next thing's happening, but it's so important maybe to actually to be able to value that time, to put it forward for if people are going to commit to this, like a 1 week of practicing nature, or, you know, however much longer they want to test that out for, is maybe pick the same time every day. Maybe it's after you've had breakfast or sometime in your day, make that date with yourself. Put it in the calendar. That's really nice to see the accountability there.
And also maybe check in with yourself how you feel before you go, and check in again how you're feeling afterwards. Because studies show that we tend to underestimate how good it's going to feel to go for a walk in nature. So when we can like really notice how you're feeling before, notice how you're feeling after, and that becomes its own reward. And hopefully it'll get to the point where you feel something's missing from your day. And that actually goes back to the idea of a date. Because for me, I go back to the same places regularly. And sometimes when I haven't been to a place, I start to miss it and I get curious about what's going on there. So I'm also visiting with that place. I'm visiting with the trees there, and I say hello to them when I come back. And that's actually another level of nature connection. There's nature exposure. There's like, you know, you're doing something and you happen to be walking past trees at the same time. So you're getting that benefit. There's nature connection, slowing down, really noticing, taking that time. And then there's nature relationship, which is actually ultimately the most enriching for our happiness. And that's really seeing that we're in this relationship with the more than human world. Taking the time to be grateful and even find some way maybe to express that gratitude.
I found that with gardening, honestly. I went from living in a city to a small town to the city, had this little tiny balcony, and if I just had my herb plants and my tomato plants, somehow I had this little bit of nature to watch over, and it would turn into something, and then I could clip a little bit of it. And a lot of people have made COVID gardens over the pandemic time period. So the gratitude of not only seeing your efforts put into something, but then also being able to harvest and benefit from that cycle has been wonderful.
And gardening is a great way of nature connection, and houseplants, especially with winter coming. Yeah. So, yeah. And, you know, so if I just on the nature relationship, you know, there's also that going back to the same place over and over. So there's a practice called sit spot practice. And it's the idea of picking a place that you go back to over and over and notice and see the changes. And it could be that you sit in one spot. It could be that you wander. And then you start to get stories associated with those places. So, oh, this is the spot where I heard the owls when I came that winter evening. That's the spot where I saw the raccoon in the tree in the middle of the day. That's the creek that my dog ran into and got all muddy. So your stories start to interweave with the stories of the place, and that builds that relationship. And then, so that those walks with my dog every morning, I give back by picking up the cans that I see laying on the ground, because I care about the place and I have a relationship with it. So that's part of my giving back.
Lovely. Andrea, you already talked a bit about forming habits. Can you tell us, is there a better time of the day or week to connect with nature?
Well, with winter coming, I think it's really important for people to get out in the sunlight if they can, daylight. And if people have the flexibility, anytime of day or night is a good time to connect with nature. And, daylight, if you have the flexibility to go on the weekday, then you'll find places that are less crowded. And other than that, really just trying to get out, starting with 20 minutes 3 times a week. And if you can build up to 120 minutes, there was this huge study that was done in Britain with almost 20,000 people. And it found that 2 hours a week was the point at which people started to report a significant increase in their well-being. Wonderful. And that can be spread out throughout the week. That can be a single 2-hour hike.
Yeah. I know another benefit that we actually didn't speak of yet was by being in the sunshine, we have the vitamin D absorption into our bodies, which is an immune booster for us, so that especially during the pandemic, even sometimes in those colder days, just to bundle up, or if you can sit near a window, like to get the rays, the warmth of the sun on yourself. It's been so wonderful to talk with you today. I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit more of how to find you on, if you have social media things, and after that to let us know about your offering that you'll be giving to the community for this week.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so my website is foresttherapyottawa.ca. Don't forget the 2 T's in the middle, Forest Therapy. And I'm on Facebook, Forest Therapy Ottawa. I will be continuing to guide occasional walks through the winter, and I'm offering private walks too. That'll be on my website soon. And what I'm going to offer as part of this incredible initiative is a virtually guided walk. So we'll connect by Zoom. I'll be outdoors on a trail someplace, and I'll invite the participants to be outdoors or indoors if that's what works for you. Backyard, balcony, trail someplace. And you can dial in or you can connect by video, and I'll guide you through about an hour and 15-minute forest therapy walk. So we'll each be in our own places, and there'll be an opportunity for a little bit of interaction and sharing a little bit of stories as well. So
sounds awesome. So Andrea, I understand that you have a little 2-minute experiential activity for us to give us a taste of forest therapy.
Yeah. So I'd love to do that. I invite anybody who's watching and the 2 of you to just find a place you feel comfortable. And if you'd like to close your eyes or just hold a soft gaze, and just begin by just noticing your breathing without needing to change it in any way. Just notice the movement of air as you inhale and exhale. And notice where in your body you can feel that movement of the inhale and the exhale. So through the breathing, coming more fully into this body, this moment, this place. And on the exhale, maybe picturing that exhale going all the way down your body, down your legs, and out the bottom of your feet. And now bringing your attention to the place where your feet are in contact with the earth or the ground beneath you. and just feeling the presence of the earth beneath you, holding you, supporting you. And now bringing your attention to any other sensation of touch that you might be aware of in this moment. The chair or the floor, the air on your skin, your clothing touching you. And now shifting your attention to your sense of hearing and noticing anything you can hear in this moment. The furthest sounds and the closest sounds. Maybe even your own sound, the sound of your breathing, perhaps. And shifting to your sense of smell, are there any fragrances you might be aware of in this moment? And then if you've had your eyes closed, just keep them closed for another few seconds. And when you open your eyes, I invite you to open them as if you're a newborn and you're seeing everything around you like you're seeing it all for the very first time. So when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and look around with newborn eyes. So that was a very, very tiny taste. We would do that for like 15, 20 minutes to start a walk and really take our time to notice the sensations, notice how it feels in our body. And that would really help us to shift, potentially for a lot of people, from a state of fight, flight, or freeze. It can bring us to a state of calm relaxation and just awareness and a sense of safety, even when we can really bring our attention to our senses, and it helps to quiet the chattering mind too. So that's just how we begin. And then there's a whole series of invitations to really connect with our senses.
Thank you so much for being willing to offer that to the community at large and sharing the vocation that has called to you and the stewardship of the land. It's wonderful to have heard your story, just a snippet about you. And yeah, thank you.
It's been awesome. And I really, really appreciate this opportunity and everything that you're doing. So, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Thank you, Andrea.
Well, you can find us at Happiness Habits. We are on Instagram. The handle is Happiness Habits 613. We are also on Facebook. You can find us at Happiness Habits 613.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Andrea. We'll see you again.
Thank you. Take care. See you on the trail.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you at vlog issue number 2.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.